Welcome to the last series of the evening, a best of 5, starting on Echo. Spawning to the bottom right hand corner in blue, playing Zerg for HTT and Russia, it's Sunokasuri. And to the top left hand corner in purple, playing Zerg for MyRisk and Germany, it's Miezekotze. ZvZ, interesting matchup for these two ladies. Miezekotze and Sunokasuri have faced off quite often in the FSL already. I think the other two times Miezekotze should have won. So let's see if Sunokasuri can avenge herself this time around, or if she has to give in once more. Extractor being produced after the hatch first. Same build for Miezekotze here. Sunokasuri is known to be one of the players who usually researches her opponent's playstyles. So she knows that Miezekotze usually is the more roach-heavy player. But of course, Miezekotze tends to study her opponents as well. So she knows that Suno usually likes to go into mutas. Let's see who's actually going to counter whom better. Or if both ladies just try to metagame the shit out of the opponent, and will just totally switch up their playstyles in order to confuse them. So, spawning pool done for both ladies. Let's see what's going to happen with it. Probably metabolic boost, who would have thought? No metabolic boost yet for Suno, although she actually has the gases here. Seems as if she wants to transition into a rather early lair here. So 150, 160 gas. What is she waiting for? Getting more and more queens. Baneling nests already in the making for Miezekotze. She's probably expecting an early push out of Suno, which is actually not coming. Suno has 4 links of her own. She's already realized that a small little force is headed her way. She probably knew about the typical 4 links of Miezekotze here. Suno just banking up a lot of gas. It's like 400 minerals, 236 gas. What is she planning to do with it? Can't really see what she's trying to spend it into. So there's a hatch. Okay, now we have the roach horn incoming and some buildings in order to help her defend against earlier pushes. Seems as if she just wants to stay safe on 2 bases with the buildings in here. Is probably expecting her opponent to go for an early push. Although she should know that Miezekotze likes to go into an early third, like we said before in the game between Alaris and Shnubi, where Shnubi actually did the typical Miezekotze build, and I even mentioned it, that going into a third base early on and then going into roaches is typically what Miezekotze does. Seems as if Miezekotze wants to be a little bit more aggressive after seeing with the first ling what Sunokasuri is up to, and that she might go into some sort of 2-base muta build. There the layer is finally going into the making. So we have a roach horn now done. We have the evolution chamber as well. So Sunokasuri could just do everything with it. Maybe waiting for the lair to finish, then going into the typical spire. Maybe just waiting for the lair to finish in order to get some roaches out and roach speed, but it doesn't seem like it, because otherwise she could have already invested a few resources into roaches. So it seems to be some sort of 2-base muta build here for now. In the meantime, Miezekotze has almost finished her 3rd base, is now running across the map with zerglings mostly, but will probably not be able to easily get through these 3 buildings here, especially not with the spine crawlers that are almost finished here. Ooh, really tries to Bane bust Sunokasuri here. What is this? This is gameplay reversed. What the hell is going on? Sunokasuri is just playing defensively on 2 bases, and Miezekotze is Bane busting? What the world is going on? Actually crushing through the first building here, but the other building survives for now. Most of the units actually died to the roaches and spine crawlers of Sunokasuri here that just got thrown down, and Suno now on the march. roach, just wants to counter push immediately. Unfortunately, she doesn't have speed roaches yet, so these roaches will take quite some time in order to cross the map, giving Miezekotze enough time to replenish her zerglings here. In the meantime, Miezekotze just goes for a roach warren herself, and if she just manages to hold that push, she should be kinda okay, with 3 bases already up, while Suno is still on 2. Suno, in the meantime, getting the evolution chamber up once more. Also, the glial reconstitution has almost finished. These are a lot of roaches already, but it seems as if Miezekotze might be able to just get the full surround. Suno just trying to micro a little hard out here, tries to stutter step back, getting the most out of the roaches. 1 queen actually falls for 3 here. The first few roaches now finally arrive from Miezekotze as well, and I think this push... Well, I mean, more and more roaches actually running across the map. Suno just spamming roaches like crazy. I mean, Miezekotze has some roaches herself, now has to retreat. Some roaches are already taking quite some hits here. And it seems as if Suno might have just broken Miezekotze with her roaches here, just eventually making things spiral out of control here. Miezekotze actually even has to pull most of her drones. A very, very heavy loss for her, just getting back to 23 workers. While Suno is still up on 36, I mean, Suno could just easily even walk back now and just trying to expand, maybe take out that 3rd base over here, just keeping it from getting droned. Well, in the meantime, Miezekotze is just trying to stabilize a little bit here. Suno now inside the 3rd base, starting to take down that hatchery over here. Seems as if Miezekotze just wants to... No, okay, cut off the retreat path. Okay, now it seems as if Miezekotze has just realized, okay, I can't just hold my 3rd, I have to wait for my reinforcements, have to catch some breath and get some forces up in order to fight against her. And now we have the big fight right in front of Miezekotze's base. We have a little better concave for Suno here, and more roaches out as well, so the queen does not really have that much energy left for transfuse. Might even transfuse one of the roaches, no, might even get taken out by the roaches, and finally Suno just streams into the natural base, will eventually take out everything and win the first map. Daybreak is the second map, and Miezekotze chose it. For those of you who are new to the FSL format, the players get matched against each other every week in a best of 5. The player with the lower MMR chooses the first map, and afterwards it's loser's pick. So since Miezekotze lost the first map, she had to choose the next one, and decided for Daybreak. Quite an interesting decision, I think, especially against a player like Suno. So, just drawing Santa's house there, and hatchery gets thrown down, same for Suno as well. Yeah, Miezekotze, not the kind of player who really likes to go for crazy all-ins, like 1 base pool first builds, then trying to just crush through her opponent with pure Ling and Banelings. That's not something we would expect out of Miezekotze. And it's actually not even that viable anymore since Legacy of the Void. It can still work under certain circumstances, but it's still a little bit difficult to pull through once you get higher in ranks. Players will normally be able to defend it. A 1 base all-in is just not working as well anymore as it used to in the older versions of the game. So Suno already sending across her overlords, same as Miezekotze. Both of course want to know the hatchery timing of the natural base. That already gives away a lot of information, telling both players whether the opponent started with a pool first build or not, and Suno will see the creep, will see that the hatchery is done, and thus know that her opponent went for the same build she did, and doesn't really have to fear that much, and is already producing her own 4 safety links because she knows that Miezekotze likes to produce 4 links as well, and behind it she will probably tech into something, whatever it might be. So let's see what she's up to this time around. Was already quite interesting to see that she went roaches, because you have to know that Sunokasuri a few days ago actually hated roaches. She never really wanted to play them. She just hates the unit itself and think it sucks, in ZvZ especially. But yeah, since she's probably figured out that playing Muta only made her too predictable for her opponents, She invested a lot of time in order to practice roach play, and it paid off already. It has paid off already. So Miezekotze, already realizing that her opponent is taking a third base, will take a third of her own, so both players mostly mirroring each other's builds. Of course, having the safety baning nest just in case one player presses the Z button like crazy and tries to overwhelm the opponent, then you will always be able to answer with a few banelings. So that's just why you need it. You just want to have it just in case, even if you don't want to attack your opponent with Ling Bane. Seems as if Suno just wants to apply a little bit of pressure. Let's have a look. Just wants to have a look whether she will be able to deal some damage here or there. Runs into the third base as well. Will probably not be able to take it down. I mean, the hatchery already has a lot of energy, and the lings of Miezekotze are pretty close by. But Sunokasuri actually has more lings than her opponent. No, not anymore. So has to retreat right now. Will not be able to cancel the third base. More and more lings are arriving, but she's going into a Roach Warren once more, even earlier than her opponent again. So quite interestingly here, it seems as if Miezekotze just goes for the more greedy build, just wants to get out a few more drones before tacking up afterwards. Sorry, that was Sunokasuri's line. And now is actually morphing more, yeah, actually just, yeah, we cannot really say morphing, but birthing more and more Zerglings here, because she's probably expecting some sort of heavy Ling push by Suno. So she wants to be able to defend, is even morphing a few banelings here defensively, because she wants to be safe against the Ling push. But Suno, like we said before, has already managed to take a third base over here. Actually also quite interesting position for the Roach Horn here, right in front, where actually Miezekotze cannot see it, has not really spotted it, and even not by now. So yeah, let's see if she will actually deal some damage with these units over here. The Lings are getting morphed into banelings, but Suno seems to be able to take out most of these forces even before the banelings can morph, so Miezekotze just can't really get through with one baneling, only has one left, but one might still be enough. More and more lings incoming here. Suno needs to defend with lings and roaches now, but yeah, finally the roaches pop and will now help her defend against this a lot more easily. Another 4 roaches already on the way. Miezekotze just frantically getting the upgrade, the missile upgrade for the roaches, and getting a roach warren herself. So, while in the meantime we have the lair incoming for Suno here. Seems as if Suno might have forgotten it, or might just have been forced into producing more roaches and not the lair earlier on, because her opponent actually attacked here. Because this way, of course, her roaches, it will still take a lot of time for her roaches to get the speed up. In the meantime, we have more lings ravaging the natural base of Sunokasuri here, eating up 7 workers, and at the same time we have more and more lings inside the main base, trying to take out that queen over here, barely not succeeding, because just in time Sunokasuri manages to pull back her forces in order to deal with those queen-biting bitches over here. But we have some more banelings, killing up to 14 workers now, which is actually a huge blow, but yeah, not actually as big as we might think. I mean, Suno with a counterattack already sending her roaches and lings and banelings across the map. The banelings will deal with the ling forces that Miezekotze is mostly producing, and Miezekotze has only 2 roaches out, producing 7 more. Will have to buy some time somehow before the roaches arrive at her third base, but I don't really feel that she just has enough. The lings actually surrounding most of these roaches that just come out bit by bit here, just running into the third base, and Suno again will be able to take out the third. Such a huge blow for Miezekotze once more, and woo! I actually like this move a lot. Suno actually not trying to get into the natural base in order to deal more damage, but retreats just for now towards the watchtower, maybe even back at home. I mean, she knows that she's way ahead by now with a third base up. Of course, she was behind in workers for quite some time, has managed to replace most of the workers by now, but yeah, she's just killed a third base of her opponent, and she even managed to keep most of her forces alive, so she doesn't really have to care about mass producing units like crazy, because she might otherwise die. So it means she can just produce workers and just resaturate her third base and her natural base as well, and will eventually just win in the long run. So just tries to deal a little bit more damage. Don't really know if I like it that much, but Suno just stays just out of sight of creeps, so she will always be able to retreat if necessary. Until glial reconstitution is out, I would be rather careful with roach movement. I mean, one bad engagement could just ruin all of her advantage. If she loses too many of these roaches in an engagement, the counter push might just kill her even if she is on more bases than her opponent. So it's a little bit of a fragile moment there. But yeah, if she just keeps herself up and in the lead for a few more minutes longer, I think this game should be hers for certain. I mean, Miezekotze is still waiting for a third base to get up. If we just have a look at the income tab, we see that Suno is already pulling ahead, especially in the gas count, which is the really important part right now. Because the longer the game goes, the more important gas gets. And if you are the person who just mines more gas, like way more gas for a lot of time, that's just a really problematic thing for your opponent. Even managing to sneak by some links into the main base, killing off a few workers, not really that much damage dealt, but it's of course still a little thing. And now with 51 workers to 34, yeah, the longer this game goes, the more problematic it becomes for Miezekotze, unless she just manages to buy herself some time, maybe to get into lurkers, and then just overwhelm her opponent. But with a Spire incoming, I feel that even a lurker then will probably not save Miezekotze from her will not save Miezekotze from her destiny. So, Overseer moving in, sees the Spire. That's actually a big deal for Miezekotze to see that now a Spire is made behind this. Suno not taking a fourth base anytime soon. Don't really know if I like that much. I think she could do this, or she could have actually done that a minute ago maybe, but she was probably not really certain of whether her opponent was like maybe pushing her from two bases, so she actually just wanted to have enough units in order to defend against a possible two-base push. So, okay, now we have the big engagement. Better concave, actually, for Suno. Well, mostly it's even, but Suno just has way more units right behind it, so every unit that gets killed in the front just instantly gets replaced by another unit from behind. She also has some Ravages in the mix as well, can throw down the Biles, maximizing the damage by either hitting her opponent with the Ravager Biles or just forcing her opponent to retreat, thus having lesser damage output. So either way, Suno just having the way superior army in that regard. Both players just have the same upgrades, though that doesn't really matter as much. Miezekotze will have the ground Carapace level upgrade 1 in just a few seconds, which will only do that much. But yeah, with such a small force against that bigger one, I think Suno could just actually move in a little bit closer here, even just move one step forward, then just surrounding most of these units and actually killing off everything. Miezekotze just tries to move a little bit around, losing a lot of units in the process, and Suno takes the second game as well. We're on Overgrowth for the third map in this best of 5, spawning to the top right hand corner in purple, being down 0-2. It's Miezekotze. And to the bottom left in teal, playing Zerg as well, leading 2-0, needing only one more map to close the series in her favor. It's Sunokasuri. So, pretty interesting play out of Sunokasuri so far. Suno has really changed it up by a lot, beating her opponent with 2 roach plays in a row. Seems as if Miezekotze really had expected her opponent to play her typical style, being either pretty aggressive early on and then switching into mutas, or just going for a straight up muta macro play right away. But Suno did actually nothing of that sort and surprised her opponent by going into roach builds. And it seems as if she's really thrown Miezekotze out of her comfort zone by doing that. Let's see if Miezekotze actually adjusts her play, and if maybe Sunokasuri might be expecting that, and just changes it up by playing Muta now. That would be just an interesting move out of her. So let's see what these two ladies are up to. Suno and Miezekotze as well, already moving their overlords into position. Checking for the natural base and the third base as well. In the meantime, we have the typical hatch first into gas, into pool build for both players. Nothing all too new here. So, spawning pool and speed coming in for Sunokasuri this time around. Quick speed this time. So maybe she even wants to spam her opponent with links. Maybe, maybe not. Like we said before, Overgrowth is a pretty small map with very short rush distances. So Baneling pushes early on can work if your opponent is unprepared for them. Or underprepared. Or if you just have the better mechanics. So let's see what it's going to be. We have a Baneling Nest incoming from Miezekotze already. No Baneling Nest for Suno yet, but there it comes. Still, it seems as if this is only a safety Baneling Nest. Don't really think that Suno wants to commit into links all too much. We'll see. 2 more links in production here. Okay, now Miezekotze's links just trying to tear down that drone that tries to build a 3rd base over here. At the same time we have a 3rd base for Miezekotze incoming already, but she's guarding it with a few more links over here. Okay, it seems as if Suno just tried to save her own drone by making it into an extractor, but unfortunately just got torn down before the links arrived and finished off the links of Miezekotze, so she has to pull another one in order to throw down the hatchery over here. So links retreating for now, but gathering at the watchtower to grant some vision. And now Miezekotze realizes that her opponent is running across the map with a lot of links. Just tries to get more links out herself. At the same time we have another Roach Warren incoming for Suno. So seems as if she just wants to play the same thing twice. Thrice, actually. Well, 3 times in a row. And, well, this time again, Miezekotze reacts a little bit earlier with her own Roach Warren here. Well, it's not a reaction because she's probably not seen the Roach Warren, but she might be expecting it, or just wants to go into a typical play anyways. So, a little skirmish over here at the 3rd base location, but nothing really all too interesting happened there, just a little trade-off of units and nothing more. But Miezekotze defended, and Suno has to walk home to defend her own 3rd base. For now, is already morphing a few banelings here, might even get a good connection, but Miezekotze just runs around once more, tries to move right into the natural base, but more links are already waiting. Unfortunately, the wall is open, so Miezekotze will get into the main base, and will also get a good scout of all the buildings that Suno has thrown out, has now seen the Roach Warren, and might even actually see the first few roaches coming out as well. So, in the meantime, we have more Lings attacking over at the right-hand side, trying to take out the 3rd base, but Lings and Banelings are in position, or just arriving just in time. Well, more Banelings coming in, so maybe she will get some good connections. Right now, Miezekotze knows that her opponent went for roaches once more, so she's starting her own roach production immediately, producing 5 roaches to the now one produced roach of Suno here. So let's see who's going to win the Roach Wars this time around. Well, Miezekotze has not a worker lead, but maybe a little bit of a better saturation here, so that's why she just earns a little bit more of minerals in every turn. So might actually be able in the long run to outproduce Suno here, but right now it doesn't really matter. Suno just runs across the map with most of her Zerglings, checks if she might just catch a Roach off guard, or maybe an unsuspecting Queen. Baneling gets a nice hit there, but not as nice as it could have been. And actually it seems as if Suno is able to take out that Queen, which is pretty huge at that moment in time, since both players are mostly on the same economy. With Sunokasuri even having more workers right now. So yeah, I mean, losing a Queen like that, now having less lava production, that could actually just throw back Miezekotze quite a bit, who's just massing more and more units over at her side. Might actually just walk out in a minute here, and there we see it. So Miezekotze now moving across the map. She knows that she needs to deal some damage now. She has seen what her opponent has done, knows that her own base is not really that saturated, knows that she's just lost the Queen and might fall behind here, so she rather wants to deal some aggression and deal some damage to her opponent. But of course Sunokasuri still has the defender's advantage. New units that spawn arrive at the front way quicker for Sunokasuri than for Miezekotze. Yeah, Miezekotze just immediately with the first few links sees that Sunokasuri has too much and now just needs to retreat for a little bit, waiting for a few more roaches roaches, might even morph some roaches into ravagers before attacking. At the same time, we have Suno producing drones and workers, drones and roaches alike. Just wants to have both, a little bit of both. Knows that she has the bigger army, knows that she doesn't need that many roaches, but she still needs to continuously produce, otherwise she will fall behind in the roach count. And now actually we have a better concave for Miezekotze over here. Spinecrawler has not finished, but like we said before, the defender's advantage, of course, always important. Now the Zerglings are just buffering for the roaches, taking out a few of these roaches once more. And Miezekotze hasn't still dealt really that big damage there. Sunokasuri now on 44 to 36 workers. If we have a look at the income tab, we see that Suno is pulling the lead here, is getting the lead quite significantly. Now just moving towards the map with a quick Zerglings trying to get into the third base. There's a Baneling there, killing off a few Zerglings, and of course the Spinecrawler as well. Miezekotze has returned just in time to fend off that push as well, but Suno just tries to destroy the third base, and if she gets it, that should actually again just seal the deal. So this will be a rather important fight. Over to the left hand side there's a Spinecrawler, and this choke actually makes bigger armies not that important. It's like fighting in the thermopiles. So let's see, Miezekotze not taking hit of that corrosive bile over here. Still, she has these smaller, or maybe even forces there. Okay, just tries to focus fire down important units over here. Sunokasuri has to retreat for now, and Miezekotze held the push over at the third base. So that might actually just give her some breathing room in order to get up her economy, but she's not really investing in economy anymore. Just tries to get up her upgrades and more roaches, just pushes across the map. Maybe a good counter push might seal the deal. So let's see, now she comes in, more Ravagers have been made inside of Sunokasuri's base, so like I said before, the defender's advantage just helping Sunokasuri out here. The only thing she needed to do was just waiting for the reinforcements to join the remainders of the army, and now she's on the march once more, trying to get into the third base. Again, the Spinecrawler is still there, Miezekotze only has roaches. More and more roaches are streaming in. This is a pretty big army here, and in a concave and in a choke, of course, these Ravagers become pretty strong, raining down the biles on clumped up units and also making it a bit problematic to engage or retreat depending on where you throw the biles. So maybe Suno might have just barely taken that engagement and win it, but she didn't really want to try, and I can't really blame her, because if you're uncertain whether you can take out your opponent, you don't really want to risk all of your forces there, especially if you don't really know whether you're ahead or behind in the game. So, good decision, I think, by Suno. In doubt, just retreat and come back later. Just check your opponent's economy, see if you can just add another base, and then come back later for the victory. So, Suno just retreating, gathering all of her army in close to the third base location. Of course, that's just the place where you really want to have it. Easy for her to get into the natural if defending is needed, and also quite easy to get to the fourth base, which is rarely new. And rather new, and well, the Overlord has already spotted it, it seems, or something else, don't really know. I think the Overlord can't really have spotted it because it's too far away, but something has spotted the base down here, so Miezekotze knows that her opponent has taken a fourth base, is not taking a fourth of her own, so it seems as if Miezekotze might just go all in here. In the meantime, we have Suno producing the first few mutas in addition to the rest of her army. Miezekotze now flying in, will see the Spire a little bit too late, and is not prepared at all for air units. She doesn't have any spore crawlers. The only anti-air she has are queens. Now producing a few spore crawlers as soon as she can, but I don't know if she will even be able to get it up. And now with the remaining forces, wow, this should actually be a good engagement there for Sunokasuri, I feel. With the Lynx just running in, mostly just keeping the roaches busy, firing at the wrong targets. But it seems as if Miezekotze just managed to tear through the Lynx quickly enough, or maybe not, so that the remaining Hyralists come in from behind. But the Mutalisks just take them out, and it seems as if Miezekotze might just have barely enough to take out the ground forces, but of course the Mutas still remain, and Miezekotze cannot really continue her push further without the help of enough Hydralisks, so she just has to wait for a little more. Unfortunately for Sunokasuri, she now has to remake all of her army. So that engagement probably didn't go quite as desired. She still has the Mutas out, so she might be able to deal some harassment damage here. But of course, right now the Spore Crawlers are in position, and 6 Mutas are not enough to take out a Spine Crawler cost efficiently. So she has to retreat there as well, tries to micro a little bit more to take down whatever she can. While in the meantime, we have Miezekotze marching towards the 3rd and maybe even potential 4th base. Like I said before, she knows that it's there, so I think she should actually try to take out the 4th, but of course more of the reinforcing. Yeah, okay, there's just now the big surprise for Miezekotze, just running towards the 4th base, not obviously expecting Suno of having so many forces out again, and the concave is just overwhelming, killing off every force of Miezekotze here, even pulling the Mutas back here to help out, but it's not even needed. Sunokasuri just already getting a 5th at the gold base, while Miezekotze is still on 3 bases, and this just doesn't look good at all for our purple Zerg here. Bigger roach forces plus links plus Mutas marching towards the 3rd base. I don't really think that Miezekotze will be able to hold it. Suno is actually expecting her opponent to have a 4th base by now, but she doesn't. So the only thing that Miezekotze can now do is trying to surround her opponent from the backside, maybe even killing off the reinforcing units, and I don't know if this force can actually fight against it. Bigger concave once more for Sunokasuri. Upgrades are better as well. She has the +1 defense upgrade as well. GG, well played, and Sunokasuri takes the series with a convincing 3-0.